Welcome back to another episode of Going For It. Mike and I back to break down your prime time evening games this weekend: Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. We are going to start on Sunday night. We are also going to start with an apology to our close personal friend Justin Velez for all of the Jets slander we are about to lather upon this team.
Still love you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Kansas City coming to the Meadowlands, and I think they're gonna do a poo-poo on the Jets. I think it's gonna be bad.
So the reports are that Taylor Swift will be in attendance at MetLife for this game to watch her rumored boyfriend Travis Kelce, because they're still not confirming
It's not
anything. But
confirmed.
I think we know, like,
We fucking know.
it's a thing. So yeah, give me the Chiefs by $1 billion. Like, it's like
A straight
with,
bill. A straight
with
bill.
her in attendance, like, Travis Kelce is going. It's not that the Chiefs are going to poo poo on the Jets. Travis Kelce is going to take a big steamy shit all over the Jets.
If we ever see a tight end around, this is the week we're gonna see it. Like, if we're gonna see one this season,
Hold on. We saw a tight end around when we watched the Giants under Joe Judge. Don't you fool, because I'm pretty sure Evan Ingram scored on one.
I just meant for this season. Thanks for that one moment of levity, Joe
that
Judge. Appreciate
that
you for that.
memory that is burned into my fucking brain.
Because it was one of 6 touchdowns they scored under his tenure. Really, I guess I'm going to ask the question that I think gives the Jets the most opportunity. Is there a chance their defense does enough to disrupt Patrick Mahomes that this game is competitive?
No. And I feel
Justin,
bad
so sorry again.
saying, really love you, dude. Love you, miss you. No, I really feel bad saying that. And it's one of those things, it's their defense can do enough to keep, that to potentially keep the Chiefs to like 24 points. But that, which is a respectable number. But can their offense do enough to score something to be competitive? I just don't think they can. And that's the honest to goodness truth, is that they can't score that many points.
Are you saying you don't believe in Trevor Siemian?
No, it's not even that. He ain't the starter yet, baby. Like, until Trevor Siemian takes over, I'm still dealing with this being the Zach Wilson show, and I don't believe in Zach Wilson.
Yeah, it's I so to call back to what Mike Thomas said on our pick'em is that most NFL teams, if they lost their starting quarterback, would not be able to be competitive in the league today. And I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. But all of the teams in the NFL don't have their number 2 overall pick as their backup 3 years in. That is not the case and you would hope that 3 years, and he's been in this system, not the Nathaniel Hackett system, but the framework is still the same. The Robert Saleh system is still the same. You would think that Zach Wilson would be better. And I really think what they need to do for him is they need to run the ball 40 times a game. They really and I'm not even being hyperbolic. I think you need to run the ball 40 times. I think you need to do a lot of screens, a lot of dump offs, get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and like let Garrett Wilson yak it up. Let him go on a slant and see what he can do. Like, it needs to be a lot of simple concept, basic concept stuff. We joke about the jet sweeps over in Pittsburgh, but like, pull some jet sweeps in New York, like, get these guys moving, get some motion, and make it happen. But my concern, so the thing I left you guys with when we finished our pick'em and before Mike Thomas had to leave, was, do you think, because we've seen some issues on the sideline for the Jets, we see some body language that's not great, do you think that this season, this disruption, is really going to affect the Jets for next year? Do you think that there might need to be some pieces moved out due to some negative feelings, some things said, some discontentness?
It's one of those things where, man, it is starting to look like it's becoming a gigantic mess. And it's one of the things that I think Mike Thomas kind of highlighted when we did our breakdown is just that they put all of their eggs in a singular basket. And that
A
singular
40-year
basket
old basket.
is the Aaron Rodgers basket. And that was not something that you should put all of your eggs into. Because again, what you just said, 40-year-old quarterback, it's a lot. That's a big risk. And it's one of those things that, he might come back next year and he might do okay, but like that's a big injury for someone to come who's already not like he's mobile enough, but he's not the most mobile quarterback in the world.
He's pocket mobile. He's
He's
mobile within the pocket.
exactly. It's going to get a lot tougher and a lot worse for him, I feel. So I'm not confident in their abilities, even if he is the quarterback next year, just because of the fact that it's going to be difficult for him to find success with a limited mobility. So it's very interesting. They realistically, like, if they go bad, I wouldn't be surprised if they just decided to draft a quarterback early in round one this year, since they're lucking out in the fact that the trade that they made for Aaron Rodgers is not going to result in a first round pick this year due to that injury.
Yeah,
So,
my concern is just letting Joe Douglas pick another quarterback because I think he was the one that picked Zach Wilson. So it just concerns me that he's got to drop another first round, another high first round pick, and you don't have a second round pick, and you
yeah,
need to reinforce this offensive line. This offensive line needs to be put back together if you're going to have a prayer of Aaron Rodgers coming in next year and being better. You
you're right.
need attack. You need a tackle. You need a guard. Like Joe Tippmann can maybe be your center or, your interior, but they need to reinforce the offensive line. And it's like, do you? I could see them if that. Let's say they end up with a third pick or fifth pick or something like that. I could see them trading it to get down to like 10, 15, 17 range just to be able to acquire more picks and players and things. But yeah, I think, and Mike Thomas nailed it. I think putting all your eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket is tough because we learned last year Nathaniel Hackett is not a good communicator with people that don't buy into him. And Zach Wilson is too young to buy into the things that Nathaniel Hackett is saying and doing and how he does things. And obviously Russ was just too opposite from him to be successful. Like Nathaniel Hackett is Aaron's guy. He's not anybody else's. He's Aaron's guy. Randall Cobb is Aaron's guy. Alan Lazard is Aaron's guy. They brought all these guys in to be able to be his dude. And unfortunately that, we don't want to wish injuries on anyone, but I digress. I'm going to get to the score prediction because I feel like we've buried the Jets enough. Excited to see the Chiefs. Want to see them succeed. Want to see Kadarius Toney drop like so many more balls, but cheering for Sky Moore, cheering for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship. Love Patrick Mahomes. Love watching that dude play. He slings the rock better than like literally everyone else in the league. Give me Kansas City here, 28-6.
Whew. I thought I was pretty disrespectful of mine, but yeah, I'm hoping to see Garrett Wilson have some success. If anything, just because obviously he was rookie of the year on the offensive side of the ball last year. Kid has all the talent in the world and will make plays if the ball gets in his hand. It's just you have to get the ball in his hand. So I'm hopeful that they find ways to do that. And it's one of those things, like, they have such good running backs in New York, like Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook. Like, they why they're not running the ball, like you said, 40 times a game is beyond me. It's because they're playing from behind all the time. That's why. But like that's what it is.
Still control the clock. Like, control the clock. Your defense is gassed. They're going 3-and-out every play. Their defense is gassed. Like, at least control the clock. Give yourself a chance. You still have the two of the best corners in the league. Like, pull a Steelers and have your defense win you a game. Yeah, anyway, score prediction.
Yeah. So once again, Travis Kelce is going to pop off in front of his new love. I'm going to go
It's
ahead and say
love.
that he's going to have two receiving touchdowns, and they're going to do some kind of gadget play where he's going to have like a throwing touchdown or some shit. Like, he
That
is
would be
going
dope.
to show out in New York in front of Taylor Swift. It's going to be crazy. 38-14 Chiefs.
Oof. Oof baboof.
Oof,
Uh,
oof, you too.
Pivoting to Monday Night Football, we are back in the Meadowlands. The
2 nights in a
Seattle
row.
Seahawks, 2 nights in a row. 2 nights in a row. Seattle Seahawks versus the New York Football Giants. What are you hoping to see out of the Giants in this game, and what do you anticipate the Seahawks trying to do on their side?
So, being a Giants fan, which is something that should
It's a
be
painful
known,
existence.
it's not as painful as being a Mets fan, which I also am. It always brings me back to the one TikTok that I sent you. What's the best part of being a Mets fan? It's that being a fan of this miserable franchise can just build such good character because it's such a miserable fucking existence. If that's the best part, what's the worst part? May through September. So
So good.
every time, dude, it fucking hits. But without being said, the Giants. The big thing is they have to stop the pressure on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones. It's one of the things that Pro Football Focus has said. It's really hard for them to even adjudicate a quarterback when he's being pressured 50% of the time in 2 seconds or less. Like there's no time for him to finish a drop back before he needs to start scrambling because someone's in the backfield. Like Andrew Thomas being back this week and potentially Ben Bredesen being back this week and Mark Lewinsky being told to ride the pine, like there is a chance that this offensive line could start to make strides. Like the fact that the best player on the offensive line for the New York Football Giants through 3 weeks is second round rookie John Michael Schmitz at center is fucking sad. It's a comment on how good of a player John Michael Schmitz is, and I'm super thankful that we drafted him. But with Andrew Thomas being injured and playing a game and a half at less than his best self, the rookie being the guy that's stepping up is fucking crazy. So the team really overall just needs to be absolutely better. And that's what it's going to really come down to. It's going to come down to the offensive line giving Daniel Jones time. The thing is, if he had time to throw, there's so many times that they have, this almost unknown commodity in the fact of how good of a deep threat Jalen Hyatt can be. There's not time for routes to develop for Jalen Hyatt to get downfield and beat a corner and a safety. Like that's fucking crazy. Like he's one of the fastest players in the league, and he can't beat. There's not enough time for him to beat coverage before Daniel Jones is scrambling, and by the time that he's scrambling on the run, he can't throw it 45 yards down the field to Jalen Hyatt. So it's one of those things. There's so much that needs to be better about this offense, and it starts with the offensive line. Like if the offensive line gives Daniel Jones time, I think he will be a quality enough quarterback to make things happen.
So let me ask you this, as also a Giants fan, but someone who's hosting a podcast trying to be impartial.
Yeah, of
The
course.
Giants have invested uh, 2 first-round picks in this offensive line, a second-round pick in this offensive line, and Ben Bredesen, I believe, was part of the trade for B.J. Hill, who helped the Bengals get to the Super Bowl, or maybe that was Billy Price. No, I think it was Bredesen. Regardless, they've invested a lot of draft capital. There's a lot of talent on this line. If they're not able to, and this isn't even this week, this is into perpetuity. If they're not able to get it together this season, do you make changes on the offensive line as far as who's coaching, who's assistants? Like how do you fix this line, because it is currently ranked as the 32nd best offensive line, and investing the amount of capital they have is unacceptable.
Um, so you're saying like, do they do make changes like at the end of the season? Because I have a feeling that changes are going to come sooner than that if they don't turn it around within like the next 3 weeks. Like the thing that they're going to get a pass on right now is the fact that in the first 3 weeks of the season, they debatably played the first and second best defensive front in the NFL. They played the Dallas Cowboys defense, which is dirty, and they played the 49ers defense, which is disgusting. Those both being used as positive adjectives. So that's the pass that they're going to get at the moment, is the fact that those two teams are disgustingly good. And the team that they played that was not as good was the Cardinals, and they ended up eking out a win due to some second half heroics by Daniel Jones. Was that something that was caused by the offensive line? They definitely helped, but I don't think that they're responsible for it. Um, so it's one of those things that I think that this is a game that or the next couple games, if the offensive line doesn't show marked improvement, Bobby Johnson, you know, his seat's going to be boiling lava hot, because this team has to get better. And it's like I said, it's going to all start with him. It's going to all start with him because the offensive line is the key to unlocking potential for Daniel Jones.
So let me ask you this to get the Seahawks back in the conversation. The Seahawks have two extremely good receivers in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and a guy with all of the potential in the world with JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Do you think that Seattle's goal is to kind of exploit what the Giants are doing on the outside with two rookie receivers and having a Dory in the slot who has been at best ineffective as a slot corner?
Yeah, he's been pretty mediocre as a slot corner, and that's disappointing. And the thing is, like Trey Hawkins is not, he's a rookie. His size is not conducive to that of being a slot corner. He's a little bit too big. I feel like Banks could play slot corner, but I think he's also better than being a slot corner. Um, and like Deontay Banks and Trey Hawkins are, for rookies, are off to relatively good starts. I feel like a lot of the negatives of this team, I don't think is being pointed at the secondary right now, which is a little bit shocking, to be completely honest. That was one of my biggest worries going into the season, is that we have two rookie corners that are going to be starters, and I feel like they've actually kind of held their own. But
Do you
that's
think they'll be
100.
able to hold their own now, though?
That's the thing, is
This is
it's
a big
100%.
test.
They're going to be targeted by Pete Carroll. Like, as much as I said in our pick'em, I don't really like the decision making of Pete Carroll all the time. But Pete Carroll's not, even though parts of the NFL might be past him, he's still not dumb. He's got good receivers going against young guys, and he is going to attack that. And the only thing that's going to potentially get in the way is, Geno Smith regressing to the mean. Geno Smith had a very, very good year last year. Geno Smith so far this year has been okay. Is that trend going to continue of Geno Smith being only okay? Are we going to see Jets Geno Smith that makes mistakes? Are we going to see different version, like we're going to see that version of Geno Smith again that is just not that great of a quarterback, but like good enough to win you some games? But, and I think one of the weapons that you're kind of underselling here is Kenneth Walker. Been a hell of a running back for them. He's debated out of the offensive weapons that they have. He's been the best one this season. And I don't think I'm reaching by saying that. Kenneth Walker's been incredible. So I think that Pete Carroll will be smart to try and exploit those, the inexperience of the Giants secondary. It's just going to definitely be one of those things. Is the pass rush of the Giants going to take a step forward and be effective? If the pass rush doesn't step up, Geno Smith might eat them up. But could be that those guys are prepared and know how to handle it. But at the same time, DK is just a monster. Like, he is a huge human being, and he should be destroying just about any corner in the NFL based on pure size and athleticism. So it's going to be a very, very fun matchup. Those are really kind of the two key matchups that I said is, will the Giants offensive line be better? And will the Saints wide receivers be able to exploit the inexperienced secondary of the New York Giants? That's really
All
what
right.
it's going to come down to.
So hit me with your score predictions. Seattle
So
versus Giants.
let me go back here. I do have a score prediction of the Giants beating the Seahawks 24-17. And this is one of those things that I will say is me making a homer pick. And we're not a big enough audience to where I feel like I need to go ahead and not be a homer. But the reason why I'm picking the Giants to win this is because the Giants know that they have to win this. The beginning of the Giants' schedule is an absolute shit show that any team in the NFL would be scared to have. Because we had the Cowboys, we had the 49ers, and then next week we got the Dolphins, who just put a 70 burger up on the Broncos. Like,
Yep.
this is a game that you have to win, because then after that, it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier after that, because I believe we also have the Bills in there. Like, we don't have the
And the
Eagles until the
Jets.
end of the season. The Jets, who were expected to be a much different team than they are now, but that still exists. So yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a rough go if they don't get this result. So I'm rooting very heavily for the Giants, and 24-17 is what I predicted.
I also took the New York Football Giants. I will also admit it was a bit of a homer pick, but I do agree with a lot of what you're saying about Seattle. I do think Kenneth Walker is a stud, but the Giants did a lot to invest in interior defensive line. So I really think he's going to have a harder time finding running lanes. It's just going to be whether or not the Giants learn to tackle the last 2 weeks, because honestly, I think that's what lost them the Niners game, is their inability to tackle and their inability to stop third down. And that's going to be really important for them in this game. On my and I'll ask you yours, but my X factor player, person that I really want to see take a step, and we'll do one for the Giants, one for the Seahawks. I really think Gino is going to need to be that for the Seahawks. I think he's going to need to be perfect or damn near perfect. And for the Giants, I really want to see Kayvon Thibodeau, KT step up, and I want to see what I should have saw in him on prime time against Dallas. I want to see that against Seattle. But I am taking the Giants 27-20 in the Meadowlands into next week against Miami, which is going to be tough, but it feels better with the win. It feels
It
better with
does.
the win.
It does, and
Uh,
my X factors for the two teams are going to be Kenneth Walker. Like I said, you mentioned the improved interior offensive line, or interior defensive line. Sorry, for the Giants. They're supposed to be run stoppers now. We got Ashawn Robinson, and we got Nacho Okereke, who was a tackling machine. Isaiah Simmons, who's got freak athleticism. They need to be better at stopping the run. So if Kenneth Walker runs all over them, it's going to be a tough night for the Giants. And for the Giants, Jalen Hyatt. I need Jalen Hyatt to be an X factor. He is absolutely explosive, possibly the fastest guy in the NFL, up there with Tyreek Hill. Get that guy the ball. He can run and outrun just about anybody on the defense. Find more ways to get him included. I don't understand how he was so absent in the game against San Francisco, because when he got the opportunity, even in only 14 or 16 snaps against Arizona, something like that, his
mhm.
he had 2 catches for 89 yards. That's explosive plays. You need that guy playing more. You need to get him more involved. He is going to be an X factor for this team moving forward, and this should be a coming out party for him to actually start seeing, much more of a snap share. Get 30 snaps on the field, 35 snaps on the field. You can't have this guy sitting at 15, 16 snaps.
With that being said, guys, that is your prime time Sunday night, Monday Night Football preview. Let us know, like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know down below what you think of our predictions, what you think is going to happen. Do us a favor and do like and subscribe. It really helps us out. We just hit 20 subs, which is very exciting. I would love to see that number go up. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. We greatly appreciate it, and we will see you all back here next time.